In this section, we're taking a look at Truth in Lending, section 13.3. And again, we're talking about some of the calculations that you need to perform in a loan. And primarily, we're looking at a situation like the car situation we looked at in the last lecture. And I've used a similar problem, but it is slightly different. It says, suppose you decide to buy a new car priced at $16,470. You have $5,000 for a down payment and have to finance the rest, making $256 monthly payments for 5 years. So the payments and the number of years are slightly different. Okay, so again, to calculate the amount financed, we take the cash price of the car minus the down payment to get the amount financed. So that's $11,470. The total installment price is the sum of all the monthly payments plus the down payment. So in this case, if they're making $256 is the monthly payment we were talking about. Times 60, notice 12 times 5 years would be 60 payments, plus a $5,000 down payment would be $20,360. So car's a little bit more expensive this way. All right, the finance charge is the interest on the installment loan. To find the finance charge, we take the total installment price minus the cash price. So in this case, $20,360 minus the price of the car, $16,470, give us a finance charge of $3,890. Now, what we want to do is we want to figure out the APR for this finance charge. So to compute the finance charge, what we have to do first of all is figure out the finance charge per $100 finance. We divide the finance charge by the amount financed and multiply that quotient by 100. So in this case, it's $38.90 divided by the amount financed is $11,470. Multiply it by 100, we get $33.91. Now, what we do is we look at a table. The table is found on page 707 in the textbook, and we want to look at the row for the number of monthly payments. And remember, we said this was 5 years, 12 months a year, so a total of 60 payments. So in the bottom row, we want to go across and get as close as we can to $33.91. And the closest we can get is $33.47. So that means if we go up that column at the top, you'll see that the APR is 12%. So that is called our annual percentage rate. That's the actual percentage rate that you are paying on the loan. Okay, so that's the first thing we need to be concerned about when we're making an installment purchase. We want to know what the APR is. This gives us a way, if they give us, you know, the payment and how many months and, you know, that kind of thing. This is the way we can figure out the APR. All right, now, many times people will decide to pay off a loan early. Perhaps they get a inheritance, or they get a tax refund, or they decide they want to pay off the loan early because they're thinking about making another purchase, another large purchase. So a fixed installment loan, like the one we're talking about with the car, can be paid off early so that a borrower need not pay the entire finance charge. The amount by which the charge is reduced is called the unearned interest. There are two ways to calculate the interest saved by paying the loan early. First, and the most common one, is the actuarial method, and then the second one is the rule of 78. In the two methods, U represents the unearned interest, okay, and K represents the remaining number of payments. Capital R is the regular monthly payment, and V is the finance charge per $100 from the APR table for a loan with the same APR and K monthly payments. Capital F is the original finance charge. Okay, so I think I have these identified in the method. All right, so let's suppose that someone is actually going to use the actuarial method. We need R, the regular monthly payment, K, the number of remaining scheduled payments after the current payment is made. We need the finance charge per 100, that's called H, and then the unearned interest U is calculated by taking U equals K times R times the quotient H over 100 plus H. The total amount due on the day that the loan is paid early is called the payoff amount. So it's K plus 1 times R minus U. So you're considering all the remaining payments. K is the number left after the current payment. The 1 is the current payment. So that's K plus 1 times R, and then you subtract the unearned interest. All right, so we're going to do this actuarial method for the car that we've been talking about from the first page of the lecture. Let's calculate the payoff amount for the given $11,470 car loan if it is paid off on the 36th payment. So remember, we were talking originally about 60 payments over 5 years. So it's on the 36th payment. So if we take 50 minus 36, we get 24. Take 60 minus 36, we get 24 payments left. Okay. The monthly payment we said was $256. And so now we go to the APR table we just looked at to find the APR. And because we're talking about 24 payments, we want to go under 12%. All right. We move, which is the, okay. So we want to go to 24, and if we go under 12% across 24, it's $12.98. $12.98. So that's the finance charge per $100. So we take $12.98 and add 100 to it for the denominator. So that gives us $112.98. And we multiply that out, and we get $705.87. So the payoff is the payment number 36 plus the 24 remaining payments. So that's 25 payments of $256 minus this unearned interest we just calculated. So the payoff amount at the 36th payment, they would need to write a check for $5,694.13. Okay, and that would pay off the car. Now, the rule of 78 is a little bit different. Rule of 78, we're concerned with the original finance charge, the number of payments originally scheduled, which is N. K, the remaining number of payments after the current payment. So it's 24 again. The unearned interest U is calculated as follows. We want to take K times K plus 1, divide that by N times N plus 1, and multiply it by F, which is the original finance charge. So our K in this case is 24 payments remaining after the current one. N was 60, the original number of payments, and the finance charge that we had at the beginning, let's see, right here is $3,890. So that's where I'm getting all those figures from. Okay, so we want to take 24, that's K times K plus 1, would be 25, over n, which is 60, times n plus 1 is 61, times the finance charge, $38.90. We get $637.70. So our payoff amount, again, we're going to have, actually including the current payment, 25 payments of $256 minus this unearned interest gives us $5,762.30. So let's see, that's slightly, you would have to pay slightly more by that method. All right, in a few cases you may not know the finance charge per $100. This is a formula to calculate this, and I actually did it for the problem we had up above. So if you know the APR, you can figure out the finance charge per $100. So in this case, we had N represents the remaining number of monthly payments. So N in this case is 24. I'm not sure why they did that. So the APR is 12%, which is 0.12 divided by 12 is 0.01 times 100 over 1 minus 1 plus, again, that's going to be 0.01 raised to the negative 24th minus 100. This one is actually a little difficult to do on the calculator, and I'm not going to emphasize this. We get a table value of $12.98, which if you look at 24 payments and 12%, that's actually the table value. So that would be a way to calculate the finance charge per $100 finance. And like I said, this part of the formula is difficult. If you remember, the negative exponent means to take the reciprocal. So you have to be very careful. What I recommend, if you're doing this formula, put parentheses around the numerator, then hit divide, put parentheses around the denominator, and also put the parens where you see it in the denominator. So if you're going to calculate that with your calculator. Okay, and again, I'm still working without the pen, so I've tried to work these examples out so that you can actually see how the computations go. So please try to go ahead at this point in time and work on the online homework for section 13.3.